Do you want to know one of my biggest pet peeves? These little stickers on books. Target. You can tell me this is 20% off by putting like a flag somewhere. You don't need to put it on the cover of my books. Another pet peeve of mine is people writing things on the internet that they are not qualified to write, especially when it comes to what a pharmacist can and cannot do. In case you haven't heard yet, which this video is coming out a couple weeks after some of the other statements I'm going to discuss, the American Medical Association posted an article that says, "Don't expand scope of practice for already overworked pharmacists," which the title in and of itself, pharmacists are overworked, but this writer, Kevin O'Reilly, goes on to say some really interesting things in this statement. I don't want to get the details wrong, so I have it here on my phone, but this article is referencing House Representative Bill 11770, which is the Equitable Community Access to Pharmacist Service Act, that would allow pharmacists to treat patients and test them for COVID-19, RSV, influenza, and possibly strep in the case of public health emergencies. This is something that pharmacists have been doing in many states. There are a lot of places where this is allowed already, and it would allow pharmacists to get Medicare payment for if they were doing these tests. AMA unsurprisingly opposed this bill and have opposed many other bills that are similar to this in the past. And it goes on to say that pharmacists have limited training in patient care, which is false. It says that most PharmD program curriculum across the country consists of instruction in applied sciences and therapeutics. Pharmacy students are required to spend the entire last year of their training with patients. And you have to do a certain number of rotation hours, and very minimal of that can be non-patient care rotations. Most of the rotations that you have to do where you're on site with a pharmacist are in patient care areas. Then it talks about how residency training is not required, which is true. It also mentions that practice experiences, in quotation marks, are limited and not focused on providing medical care to patients. In all of my rotations that I was on where I had these practice experiences, there are advanced pharmacy practice experiences and introductory pharmacy practice experiences. The introductory ones happen earlier in your training, and your last year is those advanced ones, at least how my program was. They are patient care focused. I go on rounds with the teams. I make recommendations on orders. I work up patients and look at their chart and determine whether their medication therapy is appropriate. I was making recommendations on getting drug levels and changing dosages. This is patient care. On my community rotations, I spent a lot of time counseling patients. I also gave vaccinations, did glucose screenings, blood pressure screenings, cholesterol screenings. I was taking care of patients. It goes on to say that pharmacists don't have equivalent training to physicians. Absolutely true. I don't think anybody's going to deny that, but we're not asking to do surgery here. We're not asking to diagnose some complex disease state. These are point of care tests that are widely available. It then goes on and talks about the workload of pharmacists, and I will say this is a big concern with legislation like this. Pharmacists are overworked, especially in the community setting, and it can be difficult to add these things on. One of the problems in pharmacies, however, is the lack of reimbursement for services that we already provide. Being able to bill for these services could help financially support some of these community pharmacies that are dying out. We have community pharmacies that are closing all the time, and having more funds in these pharmacies for the services that pharmacists are able to give could potentially help with the cash flow that is currently negative and causing a lot of especially independent pharmacies to close. There's a lot to unpack here, and whether or not you're watching this and support the legislation or not, a lot of the statements that were placed in this article were not true or manipulated to really fit the narrative that the AMA is wanting it to. Again, not really surprising. But what did surprise me was the response from the CEO of the American Pharmacists Association. Hi, this is Editing Sierra. I realized I forgot to tell you some things about this whole situation, so I want to clear some stuff up. First is, there was actually a second article that was written by the AMA. The one I told you about already was the first one, but there was actually a second one. And the second one was called "What's the Difference Between a Pharmacist and a Physician?" There's not a ton of difference between these articles. In fact, some of the things that they say are word for word the same, but there was one difference saying that pharmacists themselves didn't want this, and then the quote they used was a lawyer from CVS. I know, it's rather interesting that was the choice. The other thing I want to point out here is the AMA is pushing this forward as a patient safety thing that is unsafe for pharmacists to do this, while talking about how overworked pharmacists are, without supporting any legislation or any changes to make it safer for pharmacists to work right now in the first place. So while I think it's great to expand pharmacy services, I also think it's incredibly important to have safe staffing levels to support any changes like this. They also allow for some very unsafe practices as far as the work hours for their physicians, so I'm not really surprised that this isn't a route they're trying to go for patient safety, because obviously that is not what they care about. Now on to the American Pharmacists Association response. So I am a member of the American Pharmacists Association, and I received an email from Dr. Michael Hogue, who is currently the Executive Vice President and CEO of the American Pharmacists Association, and the title was AMA Statement on Pharmacists is Arrogant, Self-Centered, and Out of Touch. I was truly shocked when I read that headline, and this is what he had to say. And it was not only him. In fact, this was written in conjunction with the Executive Vice President and CEO of the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy. In his statement, he goes on to say basically that the AMA has become a bully, unprofessional, completely disconnected from reality, and intent on getting their way no matter what is in the best interest of patients. Whoa. And then he goes on to say, this may explain why it is very difficult to find a practicing physician who agrees with the current AMA position on non-physician healthcare team members, much less one who is even a member of AMA. Yeah, he went there. There was also a lot of backlash from the physicians who heard this statement, saying that they work with pharmacists all the time, that it wasn't accurate, that they love the pharmacist on their team. This is especially true in places where pharmacists are very integrated into clinics, or they're very integrated into the team up on floors and inpatient hospital units. But I've just enjoyed watching this drama unfold, and I was really surprised to see such a bold statement coming from the American Pharmacists Association. Since Dr. Hogue has become the CEO, things have definitely changed with that organization, and I'm curious to continue to watch how things unfold, because he's not afraid of making bold statements like this or saying what he believes. So there's your pharmacy drama for the week. I'm sure there's more, but that's the gist of most of it. Okay, so back to the stickers though. These are driving me crazy. I'm wanting to get them on my shelf. You can see I've been busy buying books since the last time I vlogged. So I have these two books that need to go on the shelf. They were on my to be read list. My best friend has this one already, and we were gonna read it together. And this 20% off thing was going on top of buy one, get one 50% off of the 20% off prices. So it was a really good deal. And then for Valentine's Day, my husband got me this book. He picked this out. I know really nothing about it other than there's a dragon and there's witches involved, and he thought I would like it. It's the first book in a series, so I'll be reading it soon. Then he also bought me the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Foxglove, which I have the first book, which is Belladonna, on my shelf. Haven't read it yet. It's another one that I'm going to read with my best friend, but this one also has the sticker. I might leave this one because it's the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition sticker, but I really don't like the ones that like tell me it's on sale. So let me show you how I've been getting rid of these. I'm pretty sure when my husband bought me this fancy Dyson hairdryer for Christmas, he didn't think I was going to be using it on books. But the best way I found to get these stickers off is to get them heated up enough that these will just peel right off and the adhesive isn't as strongly on here. Because if I try to peel these off now, it's gonna leave that like sticky residue, and I don't want sticky residue on my book. That I usually carry a book around with me that I'm currently reading in my purse, so I don't want like whatever's in my purse to be like sticking to my book. Right off with the heat. Good as new. You can see that my bookends are barely staying on the bookshelf. I also have this shelf, which is not in alphabetical order because these are Rebecca Yarrow's books, and she's on the top shelf. But I'm trying to keep all the sprayed edges together. And then I got a new book in for that, but it came in broken. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. But look how beautiful this book is. I absolutely love this book. So I'm also trying to figure out how I want this one displayed because it has the edges and the front. So if you have suggestions, let me know. So today's video, it is the afternoon on a Sunday, and a lot of what I do on the weekends when I'm fully back into content creation mode is I spend, usually Saturday, I spend some time planning the week of content. So what content is coming out that week, what Instagram reels, what YouTube videos are going up. I'm starting some blog posts again because I really like writing and sharing with you guys. So that's coming back. Emails that are going out, like planning out what content you guys are going to see from me. And then on Sunday, I work to start executing that. I don't always expect to get all the way through the week's content depending on what I'm posting, but at least get the first few days started so I'm a couple days ahead of the game in case something happens, in case I get sick, in case I get stuck at work really late dealing with an issue, whatever it may be. So that's what I'm going to show you guys a little bit of today. Part of doing social media now, I'm over 5 years in to the content creation game, is upgrading your equipment when you can, which I have been bringing in more income, looking at this more as a business. It's a lot of fun. I continue to do fun things. I do a lot of posts that are not paid or collaborations, but I also do a few that are, and I also have my own paid products now, which I'm working on some of that today. So I've been working with Fabletics some. They initially offered to send me some scrubs to let me try them out. I tried them out. I really do like them. Each month since then, they've been sending me a pair of scrubs in whatever new style or color they came out with. This month's color is Wave. So it's this pretty like kind of teal blue color, which I like very much. It also has the pockets down at the bottom. That is a must for me. I'm always putting pins in my pockets at work. And then I have been getting the regular joggers, but these are the high-rise joggers. I just wanted to see how the fit's different, but they have very comfy elastic bands on the end. And so I'm gonna create some content wearing these scrubs that you guys are gonna see sometime this month on Instagram. I'm actually gonna go ahead and go wash these, so maybe I can get some content with them today. First order of social media business for today is that I made a YouTube video that went live today. My YouTube videos are going to start going out on Sundays. And so I have some photos of the things that happened during that vlog that I'm going to be putting into a Instagram post, a YouTube community post, and a Facebook post. So I'm putting the same piece of content on 3 different platforms essentially to share, hey, this new video is out. Here's what's in it. Here's how you can find it if you want to check it out. I've personally found that the best way to do this is through the Facebook Business Suite if I'm going to post on both Instagram and Facebook. The YouTube part of this, I'm just copying and pasting whatever I did in Instagram and Facebook. So it's been a couple hours since I last recorded. I got the post up on all of the different platforms. I also went through, I had a lot of emails that I needed to respond to and answer and work on. So I did all of those. I also have daily tasks that I do for my business in general. I also did some ancillary tasks like reviewing my calendar for the week, making sure that everything that I have scheduled that I want to get done this week makes sense with the other things I have on my schedule. So if I have something in the evening, one evening, I need to make that a lighter work evening, things like that. And then because this is still my weekend, I don't work the entire weekend away. I took a reading break for about like an hour. This is my current book that I'm reading, The Last Moonlight Dragon. It's actually not out yet. It doesn't come out until the first week of March, but I have an advanced reading copy here. So far it's good, except for the fact that I'm a little bit confused on like some of the things that have happened and why they happened. But I have like 60 pages left, and a lot of the information in the last like 30 pages started to make a lot more sense. So I'm hoping that the things that are confusing me are answered, but I do know that this is the first in a series, so I'm probably not gonna get all the answers I want. Hopefully I have time to finish this later, but right now I'm going to do another task for my business. This is something I haven't widely advertised. I just put a post on my story that I was doing this. Part of the reason for that is I didn't want to do too many of them. I wanted to make sure this is something I could do and do well, and I think it's going well for the people I've worked with. But I have a NAPLEX study plan that I'm going to write out. This is a new service I'm providing because I am really good at making study schedules. Like, not to toot my own horn, but that is something I did as a student for myself. It's how I studied with my NAPLEX, my law exam, and I followed those plans very well, and it worked out for me. I passed even though I had very short windows of time to study. So now I'm hoping to provide that for other students. I'm working on getting the MPJE up as well. I wanted to start with NAPLEX. If I liked it, then I was also going to offer it for the MPJE. Once it's ready, I will link it down below in this video. But I'm going to now work on this person's customized plan. I started mapping it out, but I'm going to get into the really nitty-gritty details and send them their customized PDF plan. And that's my main goal for the rest of the evening, is to finish that. NAPLEX study plan is done. I got a little over a mile and a half in walking while I was doing it. Running a social media account on top of being a full-time pharmacist is not for the faint of heart, and it's more than a social media account, it's a business, and so, you know, it's like a full-time job and a side hustle. But I am extremely happy to be back making vlogs for you guys. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!